Either you sell your business for a fixed amount, or you sell yourself with the business, so you get acquired. And in terms of acquisition, it means that you're staying with the company that bought and you're becoming an employee of that company. At 24, I just knew that I wanted to someday have money. I didn't really have very specific values. Over time, you start figuring out what those values are. And once you figure out what those values are, you can also figure out, why am I selling? Then it helps guide you with who you're going to pick to become the home of your business. How do these companies know that I want to sell? One is
All right, so eventually down the line, I do want to end up probably selling my video production company. But how would I go about doing that?
Are you thinking that in the future you're going to sell or get acquired?
So what's the difference?
So selling, meaning you build a business that can work without you, and you're selling it to a buyer. And let's say, with video production, let's say you have employees, you have customers. So you're basically selling your brand, your employees, and your customers to this other company, bigger company that wants to buy, right? Acquisition, on the other hand, means that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be reliant on you, but let's say your business is reliant on you. You're the face of it, you're the magic sauce, right, in your business. A bigger production company says, Chris, I really love what you do. How about we get you on board, you work with our team and so on, and you bring all of your employees and all of your customers and your brand in. An acquisition means you become part of that bigger team, right? So these are two separate ways of having a financial exit, right? Let's call it financial exit. Either you sell your business for a fixed amount, or you sell yourself with the business, so you get acquired. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but with that acquiring, like in terms of, is it like the company buys shares, so they like own more of it, or how would that business?
Uh,
How would
well,
that
you're
work?
in an acquisition. They buy one. If they acquire you, they can buy less, right? But normally, when you think of acquisitions, you think of, oh, they bought 100% of the shares and paid the value of the company. The only difference there with selling is that when you say I sold my business, the concept of selling is you hand it over and you're not involved anymore, right? If you sell a product to someone, you're not going to be attached to it, right? That's selling. And in terms of acquisition, it means that you're staying with the company that bought and you're becoming an employee of that company, right? Most of the times with the acquisitions, you see this when the buyer company is interested in having you as part of their team, you as the founder, as much as your product and other bits, right? So if the unique value point of your business is you, you're more likely to get acquired, right? Your business can run without you, right? Like, you're not the special sauce in the business. You build an amazing team that can deliver. You have great brands as customers. You have a lucrative business. It doesn't mean that automatically you would sell. You can still get acquired because, maybe the buyer wants you to stick around for a year or two to help them, to help your team integrate, to help with introductions with customers, to help with some strategy stuff, right? So even if the business can run without you, you might still get offers for acquisition because they really like you and they want you to stay around, to stick around and help them transition and everything. In terms of where would you start, one, do I want to sell and not have anything to do with this business? Or do I want me and my team to join a bigger team? Once you figure out whether you want to sell or get acquired, this is one of the factors that can help you figure out the type of buyers that you want to look at, the type of companies that you want to acquire you. That's another question to ask yourself and have a clear answer and understanding before you even start considering selling, right? Because you said I'm thinking that maybe one day I'm going to sell. There's a high chance that at the moment you don't really have that in your mind, as in why would I sell? But there's a lot of people that sell out there. There's a lot of companies. You might have friends. You might have people that you look up to that sold businesses. You're thinking, well, it's going to be my turn one day. It's perfectly fine at this point for you not to know the reasons. But eventually, as you evolve with your business and you figure out values, your personal values, right? What do I want in life? And your professional values. Who do I want to be as a professional? Once you start establishing that, right? At 24, I just knew that I wanted to someday have money. I didn't really had very specific values, personal values and professional values to guide me by. Start settling down, you get a stable girlfriend, you start figuring out, oh, I like to travel, I like this kind of activity, hobby, this, that. And then professionally as well, oh, I don't like that much to edit, I love to shoot, I love to film. Maybe my business should be more like this and so on. And over time, you start figuring out what those values are. And once you figure out what those values are, you can also figure out, why am I selling, right? Am I selling just for the money, which is perfectly fine to do so as well, right? To be able to settle down and so on. But again, I see way too many people that are founders that are at the early stage of their career that have an opportunity to sell and sell without even knowing. Like, oh, that's a load of cash all of a sudden. Okay, I'm going to sell. And then wind up regretting because they think, well, that money wasn't really something that satisfied my career growth or my personal lifestyle or anything like that. I don't even know what I've done. I've done it because it sounded exciting at the time, right? But once you know why, your whys, again, from a professional and personal perspective, then that can guide you. And I say that can guide you is quite vague, but it's from multiple perspectives. One, how much money do you need for an exit, right? Do you need half a million, 10 million, a billion? What do you need, right? In order for you to be able to satisfy your future in terms of your likings and your values and so on. Financial, yes, but also, if you decide I want to be a DP, right? You become a DP for your company. You have your own company, you're a filmmaker, you do everything. But deep down inside, let's say you don't love everything. Maybe you're like, I don't like editing, but I have to do it because it's my company. And I would say professional want and value that you want to pursue. So maybe sell to a company that's a production company and you become a team member of there, either full-time employee or contractor, where you're a DP, for example, on set. And then you had a nice exit. You can utilize that money to do whatever fulfills you. And you also have a job that you love. And once you know what you want to do, then it helps guide you with who you're going to pick to become the home of your business, right? Because 2 or 3 companies interested, and let's say 2 of them want to give you the same exit valuation. One of them wants to keep you around as a DP because they love how you produce movies. Well, you know that you want to become a DP, so you're more likely to take that decision, right, and choose that company. It's in terms of vetting the companies that you approach to propose that for them to acquire you. It's also when it comes to negotiations, you can negotiate better because you know what you want. And that was the same for us in the negotiation. We knew what we wanted to do. We knew that we wanted to buy a house. And we knew kind of what that means from a financial perspective. We were able to negotiate. And, there was a chance we wouldn't have sold if we were a bit iffy about certain things. But because we knew exactly, we had a very big purpose in our heads, it was easier for us to put up with the stress of negotiating and due diligence. Know your whys. Very, very important. And then when it comes to, okay, so I know my whys, I know what I want to sell for, I know the type of companies that I want to sell to. How do I even start? How do these companies know that I want to sell? Well, one is start making friends. make friends with employees, team members, founders from some of these companies that you look up to that could potentially be a suitor to acquire you. Because if they know you and you're in their circle of friends and network, easier for you to then reach out to that guy that you've had conversations at events or online so far and say, I've been doing this for a while, everything's going great, but I'm thinking of joining a bigger team, get bigger projects and so on. I'm thinking of selling. I was wondering if your company would be interested. So it's easier for you to do that step and reach out to these companies rather than send awkward cold email saying, hey, I love your company and now I have a company to sell, want to buy. Most of the times those don't work. You have to build the relationship beforehand. Let's say you don't have any friends with these companies that are potential suitors. You could hire a corporate advisor to help you with that, like an acquisition and partnerships corporate advisor. If you have a company that, let's say you want to sell for £5 million or something like that, 2 million, 5 million, whatever that. And you're like, well, this is what I want to sell. This is what's exciting about my business. I need suitors. I need companies that would be interested in buying me. Usually, an advisor would sit you down and talk through everything about your business and the type of acquiring companies that you're looking for. And then they would start looking for these companies, present them to you. And then, if you're happy with the options, they would reach out to them and their legal departments and their acquisition departments and do all of that for you so you don't have to. The other thing that's quite important for you to think about, right? Because the question was, how do I even go about doing that? It's also very important to look at how your business is structured before you start getting into discussions about acquisition. Because if you have a very simple business, it's me and 5 other people, and I have 20 customers, and my business is simple in terms of expenditure and so on, and that's usually easy to set up in such a way that you're going to sell that, right? A buyer would be like, oh, pretty straightforward. So due diligence phase, this is 2 to 6 months period where you guys get into an engagement, right? They offered you the ring, you're in the engagement phase before you get married. And what usually happens is they check all of your documents, they check your invoices, make sure that you are who you say you are and the company does what you say it does in terms of revenue and so on. If your business is super complicated, it might put off buyers. Let's say you have a co-founder that's not really involved that much but gets 30% of everything, or there's my company and then there's this other company that I'm doing revenue split with, or all of my expenses are and complicated because I have to pay this monthly stuff, and even things like I don't have all of the invoices for my customers. You have to keep everything in a dossier in your house or online somewhere, all of the invoices that you charge, absolutely everything. Because the more complicated your business is, one, they might not get into bed with you to do the due diligence and so on. And if they don't, and you hide all of it, you know that you have a super messy business, and then in the due diligence you risk them saying no at the end of it because they start uncovering a lot of kind of like skeletons in your closet. So you don't want to have that. Yeah, everyone that I talk to about acquisition, I would say clean your business. If there's any skeletons in the closet, clean your business before you start looking and start discussing about acquisition. Yeah. So those are kind of like the things that to help guide you and start the process of the acquisition. There's a lot of other things along the way, but you know, one, why are you doing it? Two, how are you going to approach these potential suitors of acquisition? And three, make sure that you have your business in order before you get into this. So these are the initial stuff, and maybe we can have another conversation some other time around the whole process of selling and such. It's a lot, and I think not a lot of people talk about these things online, which is a bit sad.
For sure. Thank you for that. Good advice.